Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya'i wal mursaleen. Wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in. I'm not going to read khutbah here. But of all the 300 or 400 people, 4 of us were asked to come up here and pay for your dinner. Now, Governor Zambri Abdul Qadir, the only problem is I'm running out of currency. I don't have any money left either in Thai baht or in Malay dollars or US dollars. My 3 predecessors have expounded on the subject of peace and love, hate and extremism, I think to the full. But here in Perak Darul Ridwan, the abode of grace, I think 2.5 million people in this state has something very special. Few other states, I believe, would have both the Sultan and the Chief Minister holding PhDs. And both are scholars. Both are committed and both are qualified. This is during the time of President Kennedy. The group of young and engaged people trying to visualize a better future. They call this group Camelot. So between the head of the state and the chief minister and your cabinet, you have a Camelot here. Talking about peace and love, hatred and extremism, the fact that we are talking about it tonight certainly has something to do with the reality out there. We can't deny it. You can ask Brother Nawawi whether he goes back and there will be a war against Muslims landing in New York or wherever you are landing, because he is building a wall with it. Because there is this perception that Muslims are troublemakers. Muslims are elements of violence. Muslims are deviants. Muslims cannot live peacefully with the rest of the 7.3 billion humanity. 1.5 are the problem. Well, I think we have to address that question head on. How did they get that impression? Where did the world get that perception? And let me submit to you that half of the problem belongs to us. Because we have not lived what the 3 predecessors, 2 brothers and 1 sister, have told. Because we are not engaged Muslims. Because we are passive. Because we have not lived the message of the Quran, of the exemplary life of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Now, I have traveled the world. I've been in politics, yes. And I feel personally responsible. Honorable Chief Minister, standing on the floor of the Parliament in Thailand, in Bangkok, I feel the pressure and the responsibility. This is a Muslim speaking. This is a Muslim minister. This is a Buddha Ono. he has to be different from others. So the sense of responsibility, the identity, the burden of being something different from the rest somehow has driven, has guided, and has motivated, and has inspired what I have been trying, brother, for the past 40 years in public service. So I think today the Sultan was talking about the younger generation, the leadership of the younger generation, the torch that is being passed on to the younger generation of Muslims, of people in Perak, of people in Malaysia. And that is a very, very big responsibility. By name, we are all peaceful people. Because we submit to the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When we submit, we feel peace. When we submit, we feel that there is no other motivation except to serve Him and to please Him. That is peace. According to me, Budak Pondok, very little education. From the Pondok, I pick up what Budak Pondok others fail to pick up from my grandfather. So, I think first of all, half of the problem out there about Islamophobia, we have to be responsible for. Can we be the force of innovation? Can we be the light that our forefathers during the time of Harun al-Rashid were the lights of the world? When Europe was in the dark, when Europe was still looking for some glimpse of the light. I was at Oxford University for a year, and you know the name of the fellowship that I got? Tun Abdul Razak Fellowship. And 32, 33 colleges at Oxford and Cambridge are nothing but small pondok. They are all small schools. But they are differentiated in the interpretation of the Quran, or the history, or the theology, different, minor differences among them. But they decided to build colleges next to each other so that they can learn from each other. لِتَعَارَفُوا. Think about us here. If we don't agree on anything, Salafi or non-Salafi, we walk away from each other. Or we even fight each other. Or we even hukum each other. Or we even make judgment on each other. Na'uzubillah. You can't have the force. You can't have the unity. You can't have the energy in order to represent that enlightened part of humanity that we claim, 1.5 among 7.3 billion. So first and foremost, we have to accept that responsibility, that something went wrong somewhere. I just whispered to Brother Nawawi, have you ever thought of the fact, thinking critical thinkers, people who search for knowledge, trying to understand the true meaning of the Quran, they are all migrating out of their native countries, Pakistan, India, Egypt, Algeria. Why? Our thinkers of Islam have to migrate out of their own environments, because the environment had become narrow and oppressive. Na'uzubillah. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ta'ala said, you know, you are created, and Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, اختلاف في أمتي رحمة. The diversity of opinion among my community are the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So up here, we sure have differences. Up here, we sure have diversity. Out there, you have multiplicity of ideas about many things. Our problem is when we have differences in something, we can't work on anything at all. That's the problem. So, engaged Muslimun, active, committed, and give it all we have in the service of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Knowledge will come when you try that much and that hard with this inspiration, for sure. And each and every one may be different in capability, but all of us are equal in His sight. And we are being tested according to our ability. لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها. Each and every one, 1.5 billion, will have to ask, have I done enough to redeem the name of Islam? That this is what brothers and sisters here, this is the religion of love, religion of peace. This is the religion that denies extremism. This is the religion that does not approve of hatred. But then come back to the mimbar every Friday. Come back to the mimbar every Friday. Brother Noel, we stress fear of Allah. We stress fear of Allah. We stress fear of Allah. We never mention the other side that our Sufi brothers from the way back stress love of Allah. Because God loves too. Because God has compassion too. But we are exhorted, fear Allah, fear Allah, fear Allah. The Sufis come from the other way. When you love Him, you submit, and you give yourself, and you do everything. Maybe that's the meaning of Allah. Not fear. Not fear of the wrath, not fear of the punishment, but love so that you please Him. Maybe we have to change the language. Maybe we have to, you ask me about how governments can work together, how diplomacy helps, and how participation in your own governance will help create a better world, better community, better country, better ummah. Well, we have to start with that humility. We have to start with that understanding. We have to start with that love. We have to start with a very, very basic of common humanity that we have. And believe me, the world now has come to that, waiting for that message. And for the people of Perak, Darul Ridwan, you have what the world wants. But it seems to me, many of you want to walk away from what you have. You want the skyscrapers like in Bangkok? I don't mention Kuala. You want pollution like Bangkok? You want traffic jam like New York? You want all the problems that the big cities have. But you have the grace here. And the world is coming to this because the 17 goals I talk about today of sustainable development is nothing but living with the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. and try to make the best of what you are given, and don't waste it, and don't just destroy it in front of you. What you have, the world wants. And 2.5 million would want to walk away. That was with that. Don't do that. Keep what you have. So the world is now converging on that message. The message of the purity of the earth, of the grace that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts into this planet, creation of His. And you are supposed to take care of it. Because inni ja'ilun fil ardi khalifa. We are creating Adam alayhi salam as the custodian, the vicegerent, the representative of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with His ruh, with His breath, with His spirit. We are all descendants of Him. Believe me, every government now, 193 of them at the UN, 10 in ASEAN here, 7.3 billion are beginning to realize that the world has its limits. That if we are not careful, we are going to destroy this little blue planet with our own hands. So, of course governments will carry on different priorities, different policies, and different approaches, different schemes. But all of us now, 193, are being motivated by that vision of the future when this world is going to be clean, and sharing with all the rizwan, all the grace, all the natural resources that we have equally. This is what we have to do in order to convince the world out there that 1.5 billion is the force of peace, of construction, not destruction, not violence, but of hope and of understanding within the human family. All. It's not only for Muslims. يا أيها الناس إنا خلقناكم من ذكر وأنثى وجعلناكم شعوبا وقبائل لتعارفوا. I don't know if I'm wrong here. Not just to know each other, but to learn from each other. And if 1.5 have that message, why hold it back? Like Brother Bilal said, if you hold it back and you are silent, you are not sharing that message. And if that message is for creativity, for innovation, for research, for development, for visualizing and creating a better future for all of us, our children, our posterity, not yet born, then we will prove it to the world that we are Muslimun, the submitters who seek the pleasure and the security and the peace in His grace, which you already have in your name. Make it true. I understand the Chief Minister is very committed to make it true. And here is, again, this is not the Quran or the Hadith. From Jalaluddin Rumi, a poet, a Sufi poet, who wrote volumes on love, on grace, on the relationship between human beings, and the Creator. And this is the challenge before all of us. Rumi looked at the landscape of the Muslim world during his time. Yeah? 700-800 years ago. Jalaluddin al-Rumi said, merchants of all goods are gone. He said, merchants of all goods are gone. People who used to peddle old, outdated concepts and ideas, behaviors, habits. A munafiq, not true to who you are and the message that you have been given. Merchants of all goods are gone. We are the new vendors, people of this generation. We are the new vendors. And the last line is very powerful. This is our bazaar. The world of the 21st century is the bazaar that belongs to all of us. Are we going to continue to peddle the old habits? Or are we going to adopt new habits of thought, engaged and give and share and create and emit love and understanding? Every government, Muslim or non-Muslim, is now trying to find this very basic truth, that this is our bazaar. Therefore, 17 goals for sustainable development agreed at the UN. Your government also have committed, all of you, all of us in ASEAN, to this same set of goals, 17. They are now converging. The challenge for the Chief Minister is how to make this a reality on the ground of Perak Darul Ridwan. And I think you can be an example of the world. I think you can show, you can radiate love, understanding, sharing, and caring, and redeem that perception, that good name of Islam, of Muslim, from the rest of the world. It is our common responsibility. The way to do it, be creative, contribute, be the source of the solutions to the problems that the world is facing, rather than be the source of the problems that the world is afraid of and is suffering with. The responsibility is ours. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.